Okay, so this is the Mountain Biking Podcast presented by GMBN. And this week, I'm out of the shed. I'm in a different type of shed. I'm in the Trailhead bike shop with my old mate, Sandy Plenty, to talk about bike shops and their place in the market these days, what it's like to own a bike shop, etc. So we'll start off, Sandy. I've known you for years and years, but how did you become a bike shop owner?
Well, first of all, welcome to the Trailhead. How did I? It was more by accident. So, without going into too much detail, my dad sold his successful business, or we didn't actually sell it. He got out of it to kind of put his time into me, which is super cool. And then this was kind of mountain biking was the only thing, Don, that I really stuck at. You know, and anyone who knows me well, I do have a few fads now, but the constant's been bike shops and bikes. So my dad was like, right, you know, we're gonna go for it, and we bought a bike shop.
And that was when I met you, to be fair, back in the 90s, when, I mean, mountain biking, if I feel the same thing with me, where it's the only thing that I've really stuck at, and it's got me to where I am now, but only by chance as much as anything, because I couldn't do anything else, and everything else fell to the wayside because of mountain biking. But yeah, I met you back in the 90s when I think mountain biking was big. In the UK, there was a really healthy race scene.
It was growing.
Yeah,
it was growing big time, wasn't it? I mean, I was thinking about this morning. I've known you for 24, 25 years, and it was booming. There was money in the sport, mainly in the States, but it was kicking off, and we were there, and we were doing it, and we were 15, and you were 15, I was 17, something like that.
You know lots of people on the scene, partly, I guess, because of your racing background as well.
Yeah, I think partly because of my racing background, but just because when you've been doing it as long as you and me have, it's quite hard not to know a few people. But yeah, got some buddies called in some favours. I haven't got a Neil Donahue.
I think you have. You used to have one.
I know, it's tucked away
somewhere.
I think we cleaned the bikes with it now.
Do you think that matters? I know a lot of the world revolves around who you know, not what you know. But I think, well, mountain biking especially is quite a small world, so I guess you are going to know these people. But when you're setting up a bike shop, you need to be part of the riding community, I suppose.
Yeah, you gotta embed yourself in the community, but you've got to do it in a way that's not sickly, it's not false. It's like, you know, we do the shop rides because we love them and we like riding our bike. If there's a gap in the shop rides for whatever reason, it's probably because we just, you know, not had enough of it, but we need a bit of a break or whatever. I always said we'll do the shop rides until they stop being fun. But yeah, we embed ourselves, and we do a lot with the youth in the area, and just try and be reliable and do what we say we're going to do.
Yeah, I think that is definitely big. When you hear bike shops get bad reputations from sometimes the smallest things, because people blow them out of proportion. Like,
massive. It's
I bought a bike and the bolt came loose, and that's the bike shop's fault.
Yeah,
but you've got to deal with those things day to day, I suppose.
And then that is, you're totally right, Don, and that's amplified by the World Wide Web.
Yeah, social media. One of my questions as well is, how do you find the right people? Obviously, you own this place, but there's lots of people who work here. You've got mechanics, and I've often made a joke in the past that bike shop mechanics are people that know everything. Like a bit tongue in cheek, like they probably feel like they know everything in the world. But I mean, I've done it. I've been there, worked as a bike shop mechanic for a while, and it's definitely a great apprenticeship to being in the industry as a whole. But how do you find the right people?
Well, I don't know whether it's luck or what, but I've got two of the best mechanics, well, three actually now, and Rich and Dave and Chris. Like, Rich and Dave have been here since pretty much the start, and they are my reputation. So if anyone, you know, ever did say anything good about us, it's probably because their bike was fixed, or, you know, it's a given that we should be good in the shop at selling bikes. Like, otherwise you shouldn't be in business. But I think the workshop, they're the reliable ones. They're the people that get you back on the road when it's, you know, bank holiday weekend like it is now. We have Friday afternoon drop-offs where like a regular is in a right pickle, needs his bike sorting, and you know, if enough cake and biscuits come through the door, it gets sorted.
That's the currency, isn't it? Is biscuits or craft beer in a bike shop.
Yeah, we do like a craft beer. Yeah.
It makes me, wonder about that. It's like, you don't get a reputation of selling someone the best Fox jersey, do you?
No.
You do get it built in the workshop.
Definitely, and then like you said before, that can go against you in a second, and we're very, very fair, and we do a lot of goodwill. There's a lot of times when we'll go, you know, bite our lip, and no problem, we'll sort it. The customer isn't always right, I'm afraid. Mostly right, but not always. And you know what? We often make mistakes too. And we have a policy here. Just put your hands up and say, look, we screwed up, and turn it into a positive. I think as a business or a service provider, you can only really show how good you are when, you know, it hits the fan.
Yeah.
And you got a chance then to not just dig yourself out the hole, prove that you're genuine and you actually want to help people ride.
Yeah, it's difficult balance, and I've been guilty of it. I'm sure, definitely, I've been walking in on a Friday afternoon with a race on Saturday, saying, "Oh, can you just?"
Yeah.
And it's probably something that the guy's already really busy, but I really need that thing, and I just need someone's help to do it, and you sort of.
My life depends on it.
Yeah. But how big a part of the business is the workshop as far as
money and turnover? I guess it's. The workshop, it's like a gateway. It 30%.
Okay.
But way more than that in its value. Like I said, it's reputation, but also
it gets people into the shop.
Yeah, you fix someone's older, slightly more tired bike and keep fixing it, keep looking after that customer, never making them feel like they have an inadequate bike or anything like that. And then when they do feel, I'm going to buy a new bike, or Trailhead have always looked after me, or whatever shops looked after me.
Absolutely.
Then I think it's that trust thing really, and respect, and
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, it's building a community as well and making sure those people feel welcome. And it can be difficult. It can be quite intimidating places, bike shops, I think.
Oh, definitely. Really, that's something I keep trying to talk to the staff about, is we're all super chilled here, but you come in, like I sort of, one of my fads was surfing, and you go in a surf shop and I don't dare ask a question about the length of a fin or a...
Don't feel stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you've got, like, what brands do you sell? We said Santa Cruz, Forbidden, you've got Cube, White.
Cube's a big one for us. They've been with us from day one. They treat us as if we're one of the really big players, and we're really not. Got a lot of time for Cube. We've just taken on White. We do Nuke Proof and have done for a long time. Santa Cruz is a big one for us, and very proud to be selling their quality bicycles. And Forbidden, we do Orange, and do a little bit of Marion Gravel.
So we ride Canyons and Nuke Proof, and I've definitely had it in the past, criticism for riding Canyons because they are a direct brand.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. Obviously, people can say what they want on my social media, it's fine. But I had one guy say something about not supporting the industry because I was promoting a direct brand. How does that feel as a bike shop where you don't sell these things, but eventually you'll see them coming in for something to get fixed?
Well, it's the same old thing. You know, we all drive around in nice vans, but very rarely do I take my van back to the VW garage. I take it to my local guy. So it's not a new business model, but we've had to adapt. To start with, it was frustrating when we lose one of our loyal customers to a direct sales brand like Canyon. Excuse me. And then you think, well, actually, the suspension needs servicing, the bearings need changing.
Yeah.
The customer still needs looking after because their next bike might be one of ours. So we just treat them exactly the same. It's funny what you said, though. I'm not going to call anyone out, but I had a rep in working for a brand, a P&A brand, and called me out for selling a brand here that's owned by a bigger online.
I think we may know the company you're talking about.
Yeah. So, and I just thought, I said, well, my response to him was, you're narrow-minded because they're great bikes, and why wouldn't we sell them, and why wouldn't it benefit my business? And
yeah, it's a difficult situation, and you never know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, it works for these bike brands, obviously, to go direct. So, what's to say? It doesn't all go direct, and then bike shops have to evolve into something slightly different, where you rely on selling soft goods and servicing that bike. But who knows?
I mean, I think there will always be brands in bike shops, and I think they will be the brands with a story. And hey, I think there's enough room for everyone to do it the way they want, but I hope a few still stay in the bike shops.
What about the challenges of running a bike shop? I mean, unfortunately, we do hear about bike shops closing. There's, the John's Bikes in Bath. It's like 100 years old, and that shut down in the last year. And there definitely are sort of new challenges facing bike shops. How do you think you overcome those?
I think it's evolution. You've got to, it's a couple of years ago, I had a 6-month, in my mind, stale patch. Like we're just doing the same thing. We were taking pictures of bikes against a wall and tagging everyone, and we still do that now. But I was like, what can we do that's different? And you just gotta roll with it and hope that you evolve and you have the right staff around you. I'm a very small part of Trailhead, and my staff and their energy drive the business forward. So I think surround yourself in good people and good brands, and get out and ride your bike with people is my top tip.
Yeah, I definitely think I could totally agree with all that stuff. It's definitely like Instagram can make a big difference to your brand. Things as simple as that, where you see, if you really, I don't want to say new school marketing because a lot of people use it, but compared to some bike shops where they are living completely in the old school way of doing things, definitely think that does help.
Yeah, I think you're right, and good photos, and people want to see behind the scenes. So, a bit like this podcast, people want just a little bit more info, and I think we're all nosy and want to just see how it works. And so we try and be transparent, and we often do Insta Live. So we walk around the shop, people ask questions about products, and we answer them, and
that's cool.
Do shout outs and stuff, and it's a bit of fun.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think just trying to keep evolving.
It's funny, I've just been to Worcester and Squamish, and have you ever been to Corsa Cycles in Squamish?
No, I went to Squamish a couple of years ago. Didn't see a bike shop. It's a funny place.
It was huge. I think actually it's just moved to new premises and it is much bigger. But
yeah,
it really surprised me walking in there to see how many mountain bikes. There are road bikes, but it's just huge. The square footage of it is massive, and there's a massive workshop at the back and loads of bikes as well as e-bikes. That's definitely taken off.
How did you feel when you walked in there? Was it?
It's cool, really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, really welcoming. Just a cool shop, which you don't see that many like really big cool mountain bike shops.
I'm still a bike shop geek. I love going in. We've got Dave Mellor Cycles around the corner. They're full of great bikes, slightly different take on it than here. But
how does that work? You're literally 50 meters around the corner from the most established bike shop in Shrewsbury.
Yeah, most definitely, and the one that you and me used to shop in when we were Groms. Dave is my business partner here, so that's for both of us better the devil we know than devil we don't. So.
But how do you differentiate? Is it? I know Dave's got a great reputation on the road side of things, got loads of road bikes, but he does sell mountain bikes as well. So how do you differentiate the two?
I guess he sells mountain bikes and road, and so do we. He's biased towards road, and I'm biased towards mountain bike. He's embedded himself in the road community and the local cycling club, and does very well at that. But again, he's doing it in a genuine way. He's not doing it like just because he sees pound signs. He's very much the road path. I'm the mountain bike path, and we don't have any crossover. The mechanics talk all the time. They're always sharing notes and helping
borrowing parts.
Yeah, borrowing parts and helping each other fix bikes, really.
Cool. What about it's funny, Greg Minnar is doing a talking tour in the UK. I don't know if you've noticed this. He's doing a date in Shrewsbury. Yeah, so I've been on a couple of these to watch. I saw Hans Ray last year, Steve Pete Was that last
I saw
year?
the PT one in Newtown.
Yeah, so it's quite a new thing to the UK. We've had it with people like climbers where they visit towns around the UK and talk about what they've done that year, cool stories, etc. So it's really starting to happen with mountain bikers. The one thing I noticed is the Shrewsbury leg of his 20-date tour is actually sold out. And
Tell me about it.
The only one that sold out, and it's probably one of the smaller towns. Is that just? I mean, it's got to be because of the mountain bike scene.
Yeah, I think definitely to do with the mountain bike scene around here, and even though there's loads of riders around here that just ride trail bikes or trail centres, but they love it around here, and they know who Greg Minnaar is, and they want to go and listen to him talk. I want to go too, but I don't have a ticket and I can't get one.
No way. Well, you'll have to come down to Bath. He's doing one in Bath, and I'm sure there'll be a few drinks afterwards.
Okay, crash the one in.
Yeah. But it does make me think about the whole scene. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, there are thriving shops in Shrewsbury. Have you seen shops close down?
Only really mine and my dad's early on. I mean, probably has been some others come and go. Just don't really think about the negative side of it. But yeah, I think shops come and go globally for sure, and it's sad to see. And as you know, there was Soho Bikes closed down in London. That was really I was shocked. But then when I actually spoke to Nick, he decided to close down. It wasn't like they went bust or anything. I don't think people know that. He was like, well, I just can't be doing this anymore in the middle of London. And then maybe if he was in the Surrey Hills, the other two bike shops there are doing well. So, yeah, I think back to the old thing you said, which is you've got to be near riding.
You've definitely got a range of bikes here, but what do you sell the most of? Is it sort of, 140mm trail bike? Is it downhill bikes? Is it cross-country bikes? Is it e-bikes?
I think it's a mixture of all, but if you had to say, it'd probably be like the Bronson, 140, 150 up to 160. And everyone in their head wants to go hard, don't they? So they need more travel. But I think they actually get used around here. The tracks, you've ridden Eastridge for years. There's a lot of rock there and it is gnarly and you do need a bit more travel. So I'd say the higher end travel trail bike, enduro bike, really, Don.
What about trends? I mean, for me, the biggest one that I've really enjoyed is 29er sort of enduro bikes. It becomes so much more capable of pedaling and bombing downhill. But what are the biggest trends you've seen in bikes in the last year or so?
Well, following on from what you just said then, I think the races around here seem to use 29. Well, I say that, but a lot of them do. And then kind of like the guys and girls who like to go uplifting and just do a bit of trail riding tend to go for 650B. I think we sell pretty much the same amount in total of both. E-bikes are on the rise though, Neil.
Yeah, any bike shop we speak to will probably be saying the same thing. And UK is definitely a few years behind Europe in this matter, as is Canada from what I've seen, where acceptance is coming, but people are reluctant until they try one at least. So a lot of people still don't necessarily want to see e-bikes, but definitely starting to see more of them around. You go to the trail centres that aren't so far away, like Llandegla or Coda Brennan. Their e-bikes are definitely appearing. And what are the challenges with selling an e-bike?
Well, at first, e-bikes were a little bit like tubeless. We were scared of it. We didn't understand it. It didn't always work out. But that was sort of 3-4 years ago. Now, the main challenges are, I'd say, when you build one up, the PDI, that's the term we use for building a bike up, pre-delivery inspection. It takes a bit longer. You got to drop the engine casing off because a lot of the bikes from Europe come with the brakes the other way around, things like that. So you have to, where it would normally take an hour to prepare a bike like this, it would take maybe 2.5 to do an e-bike. So you've got to factor that in, and that's coming off your bottom line essentially. So all the e-bikes we sell have Bosch motors, and we have a good relationship with Bosch, and if there ever was a problem, we can troubleshoot it in store, and we can often fix it.
So that is slightly different where, you know, almost every sort of problem on a normal bike you could fix in store. I mean, I've got two e-bikes, actually. I've got a commuter bike and I've got a Specialized Canevo. Two definitely different things, but I have actually just started to have issues with my commuter bike, and I found it really frustrating that I couldn't fix it. Not, you know, I've got all the tools in my house. I'd like to be able to fix things, and I needed the bike to do something, and it didn't work, and I'm tearing my hair out.
I know, and you're just frustrated then. And it's that reputation thing again, Don, which is if we sell it, we need to be able to fix it or get someone to fix it, and that process happened quite quickly because e-bike comes in, say there's a problem with it, 3 weeks, they're not peed off with the component manufacturer, they're peed off with us. So yeah, it's reliability, but they are, I mean, you know, they are really good these days, as you know.
Yeah. And we're not so far from some downhill bike parks like Revolution bike parks. 40 minutes down the road, you've got the Atherton's Dovey bike park just opened up. So that'd be interesting to see what happens there with potentially more downhill bikes. But having said that, I've just been in Whistler where you do see a lot of 160mm trail bikes. But
yeah, I mean, I've just come back from Leger and Morzine, and it was spot the downhill bike. It was everyone on trail bikes, and the braking bumps haven't got any smaller. They're still huge. So yeah, I think that the trail bike, enduro bike, whatever you want to call it, it's just become so capable. It's 10 times better than the downhill bikes you and me rode in the 90s. Yeah,
I can see you've got a new proof descent, just like the one I've got. And yeah, it's the first time I've ridden one in a long time, and it felt like the bike was more capable than I was. But I really, really enjoy riding it. And I've just ridden it actually for the last few times I've ridden. But it's interesting to see the difference. Yeah, I think most riders, myself included, could jump on an enduro bike and that'd be plenty of bike.
Yeah. Will we see you at a downhill race?
I don't know. I don't necessarily want to race it, to be honest. All I've ridden so far is bike parks, is Whistler and the Athertons. So just actually really smooth, really fun, hitting big jumps. That's what I'm loving at the moment. But
big corners, yeah.
There are still downhill races around here?
Yeah. I mean, big shout out to Pierce Cycles down in Ludlow. Ian and Dave and Lindsay and the rest of the team down there do a great job in running a bike shop, but also I think probably the best bike series that I've ever known in this country, any country. Like Pierce, if you ever want to, you're watching this and you want to just do a race, and even if you've got a trail bike, they've got a trail bike category now, go and do a Pierce. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's definitely when I grew up around here, there's a lot of, well, it's just downhill really. And now there's a really healthy enduro race scene, but maybe not so much cross country, or am I missing it?
Well, I thought that. I mean, I started cross country and it was big, but someone told me the other day they went to a cross country race in Cannock, and every category
was the Nationals, I think, or was it the Nationals?
And it was rammed, absolutely rammed. One of my buddies, Chris Oliver, his son Arthur, he's starting racing, and rather than him get into downhill, you know, this is a young lad, under 10, he wants to race cross country, and that's super cool. So I'm hearing about these different events he's taken him to, and it seems to be thriving, but it's not on my Instagram feed, and it's not. I don't see it on the websites I look at, and I don't know what needs to happen, but I think it's very healthy.
Yeah, I definitely need to check it out. Obviously in Europe, if you've ever been to Rock d'Azur Festival, that is huge. I think there's...
Is that in Nice?
Yeah. So I can't remember the numbers, but there's the race, the big race is like 30,000 people or something crazy.
Wow.
And all on 29 carbon.
Yep.
You know, you won't see a pair of baggy shorts there. And it's really cool to see, but it's always surprised me that it's quite different to the UK and the US and Canada from definitely from my perspective. Like you say, I maybe don't look at the right websites.
Yeah.
But I don't think there is a cross-country version of Pink Bike or Vital or GMBN that shows off cross-country.
No.
Quite so much. I mean, it's definitely for us. At GMBN, we always try and do more cross-country because we don't do enough. And I enjoy doing it. But it does feel like the scene isn't quite as obvious.
No, I think you're right. And I think with cross-country, it's about doing it. It's about actually... You know, in a cross-country race, it's a bit like being in a motocross race. You can see matey ahead of you and you're like, I'm going to catch him. And you do everything you can to bury yourself. Whereas in downhill and enduro, you're racing an invisible component, the clock. And that's what I love about cross-country racing when I used to do it, is being on that start line with everyone else. So I think that story needs telling, and it might drag a few people in.
Yeah, it makes me wonder actually about just the vanity of enduro and downhill races. We're more about buying the right shirt and having the right bike. Cross country
right.
just want to get on and race the thing.
Mountain biking's been keeping check shirts sales high for...
Do you sell check shirts? I can't see any here.
You could probably find one somewhere, at least on a member of staff, including me.
What is the best part of being in the bike industry as a shop owner?
Best part, hands down, the people you meet. And that's sometimes, or more than often, when they come through the door. But also the industry people you meet at the shows and the friendships you build. You know, it's very, very small. I think a lot of people watching GMBN, reading magazines, they think it's huge. It's tiny. And you know, you pee someone off at one point, you'll come back round to them before you know it, because they'll change jobs. And, you know, it's very, very small. And it's, on the most, it's really nice for that.
What about the worst parts? Do you ever wake up on a Monday morning and you know, get that sinking feeling and think, oh, it's Monday, I've got to go to work?
No, never. Sometimes you got stuff going on, like, you know, it's not always plain sailing in business. So you might have some business stuff going on, loads of bills to pay, and, you know, worries that come with running a business. That bit's not so cool. But yeah, I always think, I still get a buzz from opening a bike box. Like, you know, a new frame comes in. It's not, you know, it's not mine. It's for a customer. But can't wait to cut the box open and have a look at it. I still get that buzz 20, however many years on. So. And
what about personal bikes? I mean, that has faded for me. Sometimes I love it, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, cool, it's a new bike.
I think, like, I do all right with bikes, but I think you perhaps get more new bikes than anyone. So maybe it's diluted it. But yeah, got a new bike the other day to go away with, a new V10, and I have this weird thing though, and I get so excited about a new bike, like unreal excited, but then I don't want to ride it. It's like a new pair of trainers. Yeah. I'm looking like, but anyway, yeah, I love a new bike, and I like speccing it. I think that's the bit I enjoy.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't really get to do that anymore, but yeah, I can imagine sitting there and thinking and dreaming up exactly what set of cranks and brakes, etc. That's quite nice.
And I think when a customer comes in, we need to accommodate that, and rather than go, you need this, you need that, you need this, which I do a bit to people I know well, and they'll be laughing. But I think a lot of riders, Don, enjoy building the bike as much as riding it.
Definitely. Right, thanks, Sandy. I think we'll end it there. It's been good to hear a bit about bike shops. Nice to be here, checking out the Trailhead as usual. Right, that's it for this week's podcast. Thanks for joining us. You can find it on YouTube. You're probably watching it here already. Over on Spotify, on Apple iTunes, Deezer, and on Audio Boom.
Thank you.